begin, we would like to disclose that this episode makes reference to violence against minors and people with albinism. Please enjoy the episode.
Welcome to episode 2
of the Life Story Podcast.
Okay. All right. And in episode 2, we're going to do something that your mother recommended that we do. Because in episode 1, I started saying something about albinism. And your mom said, but none of that makes any sense if we don't tell the people that you are albino. So that's what we're going to do in this episode. So welcome. My name is Baba. And I am albino. All right. So in preparation for this episode, I gave you guys an essay that I wrote.
Yeah. The Strength of Makara.
Yes. And I asked you guys to read it. And if you have any questions, then we can discuss that. And that will become this episode. So we should start with a brief overview of the essay first. Anyone think they can? Does anyone think that they can give us a summary of this essay?
Is that like a shorter way of saying it all?
Yeah. You read it. You read it,
I read it.
So maybe you can tell us what you understood.
Oh, well, I guess the story was talking about your great-grandmother, Makara.
I thought Makara was a boy.
Well,
No.
what is the first
No.
line of the essay say?
My father's maternal grandmother, Makara, was Chief Nguyo's daughter, which means that she was royalty.
So
Chief,
Makara could not have been a
daughter,
boy.
grandmother.
Yes. There's no way Makara can be a boy if she's a
Grandma.
maternal grandmother. Okay, so Makara, that's how we pronounce it. Makara was my father's grandmother, and she was the chief's daughter. Okay, what else did you guys learn from the story?
Your parents actually were very closely related, even though they had no idea.
Yes. So as things go in society, when a community gets too big, some people have to leave.
Yeah.
So to start a new community elsewhere. And that's what happened. Under Chief Nango, the village got big and some of the family members left. And that the people who left became my mother's people. So when my parents met in the 1960s in what was then Salisbury in Rhodesia, they did not know that they were related. So they met, they fell in love, got married, had kids, and I only found out about, 5 years ago.
So why was it important to know that they are distantly related? That's for the kids. What do we know about family relationships and science?
Well, that would mean that Baba would actually have more traits, right? Like he would have inherited a lot more of the traits that have been passed down through generations.
Well, I was wondering, were they related distantly, but then they got married?
Yes.
So they basically did a very bad thing and then got married.
No.
No, they're distantly related.
How? What
but
does that mean?
genes pass from both the mother and the father. And what do we know about albinism?
That trait would be passed down to us, which means if Chief Ninguo passed that down, it would be passed down through the generations, which means that Gogo and Sakuru both had those genes, which is why Baba and Tete Gwen are albino.
Mom is rolling her eyes.
I had a question about Chief Ninguo. Like, it involves both Sakuru and Gogo side.
Okay, we'll come back to your question.
It's okay. I already forgot.
Okay. All
I
right.
forgot. I was raising my hand
Okay.
anyways.
Okay. All right. Makanaka, don't slap your papers anywhere on the table.
I was wondering that on Sakuru's side, your father's side, would Chief Ninguo be like great 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 grandfather, and on Gogo's side, wouldn't he be like our great 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 uncle?
No, you still be like a great great grandfather.
Okay,
Yeah.
so basically, we have one grandfather, but from two different people.
Yes, but remember, my mother's father was not from the Nango people. My mother's father was from somewhere else. We don't know much about him, but so you would have come from a different tribe, a different village, different community. So only on my mother's kind of side of the family, the Nango side, not her father's side. Okay, Panache.
I know you didn't mind being different, but were you happy being different from the others?
You mean as a child?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the question that I was thinking about the other day. I don't remember how I felt when I was growing up until some kids and some adults pointed it out. So I don't remember being unhappy about it. In my family, my brothers and sisters were happy, made me happy. My cousins, most of them made me happy. So it wasn't a problem until maybe around first grade when I went to school. And then I met a lot of other kids who just made things difficult for me.
You mentioned Rhodesia earlier. Where is Rhodesia actually?
Zimbabwe.
Oh, I forgot.
My question was,
Probably need to continue.
well, my question, I actually sort of had two questions. The first one is, were you happy that you were albino?
Panache.
Even
Baba
though there
just
were-
answered that.
Well, you
Even
guys said
though
even
there
though.
was people that kept on killing the albino kids, like putting them in pots and burying them in sand and
Okay.
letting them float off in the river.
So we need to answer his question is because he's talking about something that's in the essay, right? That you guys
Yeah.
read. So maybe we should recap. That's how I was asking Elliot. Does anybody want to summarize? So let's talk about the essay. My great grandmother, Makara, had 8 children who were albino, and all 8 were killed as babies. And that's because back then the people did not know. They were very superstitious and they did not know what to make of the child. They thought it was a curse. Yes.
So did she only have those 8 albino children of her albino children?
So those were the first 8. Those were the first 8. And from the story that I was told, all of them were killed. Then when she had the next albino child, that's when she put her foot down and she said she wasn't going to kill any more of her albino children.
So she killed her children?
No.
The midwives
So,
often
People
would kill
who
them.
helped her give birth to those children.
yes, whenever an albino child was born, or any child that was deformed in any way was born, the midwives who assisted in the birth would then
End the child's life.
end the child's life. Yes.
So the mothers were okay with it?
No, they were not. Now, like I was saying, they was very superstitious because they thought that, their ancestors were unhappy, that God wasn't happy with them, and they thought it was a curse. So, sometimes when your community believes one thing, you may tend to believe the same thing also.
Yeah.
So my question was, why did Makara name one of her black children Hamundid instead of one for albino children? Because the name means you don't love me, and she was using that to express her disappointment in the others killing all her albino children.
Okay, I'm going to answer that question, but I think Chachinda also has a question.
I had a question, and that question was, how old would Makara be if she still lived today?
I don't know. No one really kept records of birth or records of death back in those days. But to Nyasha's question, the other thing that we learned from the essay is that when my grandmother was born, Makara named her Amundide, and that name means you don't love me. The reason she did that is when my grandmother was born, my grandmother was not albino. She was black, like black skinned, and everybody was happy. And what Makara was saying was, you guys are happy just because the child has got black skin, but you have never treated me well with my other 8 children. So she did not feel loved. She just felt like the people were just relieved that she finally had a child with black skin. But she didn't think that they really felt love for her because they had taken away all of her other children. Okay, Panache, go ahead.
Did you know any other albino children?
Besides Tay Gwen.
Yes. So, because of the systematic or the way they killed all of any albino child historically, the first albino person that I knew besides my sister Gwen was my uncle Lovemore. My mother's brother Lovemore was albino. There was one other young boy in our neighborhood. I cannot remember his real name, but we all called him Balran. I don't think that was his real name. But he would come over to our house, and my father would buy us hats and buy us clothes to keep us protected from the sun. And sometimes he had hats for Balran too, because Balran's family was not very rich or rich at all. They were poor. So he was the only other child that I know, and we went to school with him. He was younger than us, but we went to the same school. At church, there were no other albino children, but there was a congregation in a nearby town where there's a family that had one girl, I think, that was albino as well. So I didn't grow up seeing too many albino children. I have a cousin. You guys have met my cousin, Kuda Kwashe. When we went to North Carolina. Yes. So Kuda is albino. He's a year younger than me, almost. We did not spend a lot of time together growing up, but he was another child that I knew who was albino. And there were other adults. So like I said, Nanguo, Chief Nanguo, the side of the family where my grandmother came from, there were other albino children who were born to that side of the family as well. So I would hear about them from time to time, like at weddings or something, then I would run into them. But I did not grow up in a large community where I saw a lot of albino children.
You mentioned that your great grandmother, one of her children that was albino, that she did not allow the midwives to kill. I believe she named him Gore.
Yes.
I don't know if I pronounced that right.
That's-
But it translates cloud. And you said that maybe it was her way of looking up to the heavens in reverence to God, saying thank you for giving her maybe another child. But are we sure that is the case? Maybe she named him Gore because he looked like a cloud. I mean,
Maybe his hair.
Yes, but we called him Gore. But when I was young, when my grandmother would come to visit, she would sing this song. And the song, some of the words would be like, Chirimu Gore wangu awe. Chirimu Gore is the full name of her brother's name. And Chirimu Gore means what's in the cloud or what's in the heavens. So I am fairly convinced that the name Gore was just shortened for the full name of Chirimu Gore, which meant that to me it would mean that Makara was looking up to heaven and saying, the heavens have been merciful to me. But I think your explanation is plausible because, you could have just looked as white as a cloud on a white, cloudy day.
the other one was named Soko. What does that mean?
Now that one, I don't know what she meant, but Soko just means monkey. I don't know that
Oh,
she
dear.
meant to call her daughter the monkey. But everybody called that lady Soko or Atsoko all of her life.
Those were not politically correct times.
Not politically correct at all. Okay, I know Tindika wanted to ask a question.
My second question was why were people killing the albino kids? I think it was because they thought it was a curse. Oh.
Yes, so that's something that I think I kind of covered in that people sometimes are afraid of what they don't know or what they do not understand. And that's just the way it was that, we can talk about genetics now because we have science. We have studied science. So we can talk about, this is why someone's hair is this color, their eyes are this color, and their skin color is this color. But back then, my ancestors did not know that science. So they could have made some decisions based on superstition. Yes, Makanaka.
Haman Didi or Didi had another name, the name Chimbuya, which meant the old woman, but which was meant, I think what you said in the essay too, reverence how she was the oldest woman in her clan. What clan was she in?
So when I talk about a clan, I'm just talking about our family. When I talk about our clan at this point, I'm just talking about our family. Our clan, she was the oldest woman in our village, in our family. As she was my grandfather's wife, and she lived to be like 114 years old, from what I understand. She had seen so many generations of her family, her children, her children's children, and up to some generations of great grandchildren. So
Like your
yeah, like my brothers had children. My grandmother Chimbuya or Amundide,
Amandine.
when she was too old to take care of herself in the village, my father went to the village and brought her to the city to live in our home. So all of my relatives would actually come to my father's house and visit with my grandmother. So she was the old woman of the village. Only
Well,
only that we're not living in the village anymore, but she was still the
oldest
sometimes
one.
it's the matriarch,
Yeah, like
but yes, everybody would even when my grandfather was alive, she was still the most respected person in our family.
Well, I asked that on account of how you said we were part of the zebra clan
Okay.
because I was wondering if she was actually part of that clan.
Yeah, so when a woman gets married, she takes the she doesn't leave her family, like she stops doing whatever their clan was, but she becomes part of her husband's clan. So
Okay.
my people are the zebra people because of my grandfathers, my on my father's side. So yeah, we are. It doesn't mean our last name is the zebra people. It just means we identify as a clan as the zebra,
Clan.
and of course in our language that's Mbizi. We are the Mbizi people.
And busy people.
Not Mbizi, that's American. Mbizi,
Busy?
Mbizi, that's close.
Busy? Okay.
Did the word Mushonga come from Zimbabwe?
So our last name Mushonga, yes, comes from Zimbabwe, and it's because of my grandfather, who was a shop dresser, and he would dress so well that people would say, his dress was just like one flowing garment, which is Mushonga Rimwe. And when my father was going to get his ID or his driver's license, instead of sticking with our traditional family name, which is Ndudzo, he chose his father's name, given nickname, which was Mushonga, and that became our last
What
name.
does Nudzo mean?
Ndudzo is a type of medicine. I would have to research that some more and come back to you on that one.
And what does Mushonga mean? What does Mushonga mean?
Mushonga to most people just means medicine as well.
What? Does it have other meanings?
It does have other meanings, yes.
But let's not discuss those because we need to get back to the essay. And also, we don't want to discuss them.
Okay, let's talk more about the essay. Do you guys have other questions that were in this essay that...
Oh, when Chimbuya bringing you guys those candies and singing a song, you said in like the 10th paragraph of your essay that you're very ashamed sometimes. But my question was, did you like feel anything beside the feeling of shame or
I
embarrassment?
was young, and as a young child, my grandmother, I did not appreciate her like I should have. So Chumbuya would come from the village, and she would be wearing 2 dresses, 3 skirts, 4 aprons.
Wow.
she would have a blanket wrapped around her waist, and then when she got out of my father's car, she would start singing and dancing, and she would take like an empty paint can, and then she would start beating the drum, and she would dance, and there would be a cloud of dust around her. And all the while she was dancing, she was singing this song, Chirumugore Wangu Wauya, and she was singing it to me because I reminded her of her brother.
Gore.
Yeah, so when she sang that, and then my sister, she named my sister Kwehudza, and I think Kwehudza might have been a name of another relative. So both myself and Tete Gwen, we would be so embarrassed that she put the spotlight on us. But to her, we reminded her of her brother and whoever Kwehudza was. But as a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, I was just mortified that she just did those dances, and she was just an old woman being happy, and to me that was like so embarrassing. I could just I could have,
Die of
I could have-
shame.
yes, I could have died.
Did she wear an apron like on her sides and her back?
You know
and
grandma's
tummy?
aprons? Your grandma here in Oklahoma?
Yeah.
Yes. Just imagine 5 of them.
And
Stacked on top of each
Just
other.
I
stacked and
read
stacked
that
and
she
stacked.
also sang those songs in her front yard.
Yeah, so she got out of the car, and the first thing she would do, because my father would paint cars.
Besides handing out the candy,
the candy was always in her skirts
all their pockets.
and melting. And it was the brown candy that's made from the molasses.
You
The
said
brown sugar.
brown
stuff.
sugar and molasses.
Molasses.
Yeah. So it's like it's been in her skirts all the way from the village or wherever she got it from, and now she's handing it to us, and it's sweaty, and
But she liked
but
it.
she liked it, and
But you ate it.
Oh,
She was trying
Yes.
to show you love, but
yeah.
sometimes old people. I
Forget.
know this from working in nursing homes and taking care of old people. They will forget they are wearing clothes, and they'll put on more clothes,
Mhm.
and they'll put on more clothes.
Yeah.
It's part of growing old. Some of them, they put on more clothes and they know they're doing it, but they're cold or they think they need them.
Like Go-Go, she wears like 3 coats at a time. Sleeps under like 10 blankets. I saw her
no.
at the
Girl
old house.
doesn't wear that because she's old.
She wears it because she's cold.
Yeah.
I know, but when she used to sleep in my old room,
Just
She would
FYI,
you could
I'm
see the
gonna-
pile
I'm
of
gonna
blankets.
delete all this stuff about Coco because I don't
I-
want her to hear that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How did she have all that energy being as old as she was to dance around like that?
in that much
Wow.
clothing.
She was energetic. I mean, they're old people, like your mother says. We worked in nursing homes, and you can see there's some old people who just have energy, and I don't know why, but she was just able to have that energy, and also the joy that she had, like when she saw me. Like I said earlier, you know, she would be reminded of something that made her happy. And sometimes when you have joy, you can forget that you're old. And it's not like she was doing young people dances. She was doing old people dances. She was just shuffling her feet, moving around in a circle, just, you know, moving her arms around and singing that joyful song.
yeah,
but,
you
you
said
know.
she was dancing like a chicken.
Well, I'm making the motions like a chicken, but
It does look like the chicken
Yeah,
dance, but in
yeah.
slow motion.
yeah, absolutely.
Laden down with
There's
nice skirts.
actually a such thing as a chicken dance, like and you
You
wear
can tell it's
chicken
not public
suits.
school.
What did you say, Chindakai?
You wear chicken suits in a chicken dance.
Uh,
It's true, some people would. In a parade, you would.
Okay, now you're getting off topic.
Okay, I had like my last question. I kind of debated how to phrase it, so it might not make much sense. But it was, how do you think albino lives should actually be viewed in other countries?
So, in a lot of countries, let me talk about maybe African countries to start with, because I know a little bit more about how albinos are treated in African countries than, let's say, Europe or America or Asia. But in African countries, there's still stigma.
Mm.
And I think in a future podcast, we're going to talk with Tete Gwen, because she does a lot of work with albinos in
She has
Zimbabwe
that whole project thing.
and yes, in other parts of Africa. But there's still a lot of stigma when it comes to albinos, because people still don't know, like, the superstitions are not gone. So some people don't know how to embrace people who are different from them. There's a lot of killings that still happen, like countries like Malawi recently, maybe Tanzania, where some people think that there's some magic in the bones of albino people. So if you go on YouTube and watch some videos, there are videos that show schools now that have been created in some parts of Africa, just to protect these kids, and lots of them are missing arms or legs, and that's because someone thought that, you know, if they could have a born from an albino child, it would bring them luck. So that's all still superstition based. So there's a lot of that, but there are a lot of albinos who have broken the stereotypes. So you have a loving family, you have a community that watches you grow, and you grow up with other kids that just begin to see you as one of them. You go to school, you get a good education, you get a good job, you get married, you have a family, and your life is just like other people's lives. And there's albinos in the world out there now who have broken some barriers.
Like Tay Gwen, she now has the whole project, and she's probably famous.
What project?
We'll talk to Gwen about her project when we get a chance. But like myself too, and others, or my cousin in North Carolina, and some others. There are communities on Facebook for, like Teta Gwen, she's got her Alive Albinism initiative, and you can go there and you can see people's stories. And the United Nations, I think in June of every year, there's a albinism awareness month, and on June 13th of every year, it's albinism awareness day all over the world. So the world is starting to help, to make those efforts to just kind of help break some of those stereotypes.
The part that stood out to me when I read this essay again is the last line. And the last line says, "Many families would look significantly different today if none of their albino ancestors had been sentenced to death at birth." I was thinking about that because if we bring it back around to the fact that, the first 8 of your great-grandmother's children were killed. If they had not been killed, our family tree would have many, many more people with albinism in it, because in order to be a person with albinism, you need 2 recessive traits. And of course, we won't go into the science of the various types of albinism right now, but you have to have 2 recessive traits. And the more people that can pass on a recessive gene, the more people with albinism you can have. I don't know. It just stuck out to me that it is true. The fabric of our family would be significantly more people with albinism. And actually, there are probably entire sections of the African continent, preferably specifically Southern Africa. There are probably countries that would have even higher percentages of people with albinism than they do now. There are pockets of places in Southern Africa where there's a lot of people with albinism, but there would be many, many more
if people hadn't been killing
there
them.
Wasn't stigma around albinism, even in the past 100 to 200 years. The faces of Africa, Southern Africa, would be significantly different.
Baba, would this be considered racism?
I don't know. I've tried to think about that, but I don't know. What do you think?
Could be colorism.
What?
Yeah.
Colorism is where people have feelings against or for, in preference or shunning, someone who is either darker or lighter than them. But I'm not sure we could necessarily call it colorism, because it's seen as a disability. Maybe it
colorism
would be against someone with
colorism can be holding the feeling against someone who's a different color, so that like the feeling makes you feel like they should not hold any place of recognition.
Colorism would be like someone who is black looking on someone who is lighter skinned and and saying something like, well, they are too light to actually be black, or light, or there's the other side of it where people prefer lighter skin and they look at people who are too dark and be like, they are too dark. So colorism is looking at someone's color and either
embracing it or
shunning it, or what's the word I'm looking for? Discriminating based on color, either for or against. So maybe this could be an example of extreme colorism, but I don't think so because we're talking about
Both light and dark.
no, we're talking about a condition, not just shade at this point.
So that brings us to an interesting thought, because right now, when you look at what the United Nations is trying to do, or what Tete Gwen is trying to do, working with other groups, they're working on policies that would have governments classify albinism as a disability. I did not grow up being told that I was disabled, but when you look at like where does it fit in context society, like how, like your mom tried to explain, it doesn't really fit in under racism. It doesn't really fit in
Under colorism.
cleanly under colorism as well, because it is a genetic conditioning. That's just like, it's either gonna be you're visibly albino or you're gonna look like everybody else. So
And let's be clear, when we say classifying it as a disability, the majority of people with albinism can live completely normal lives. Where we run into trouble is vision loss. So people with albinism have a much higher percentage or chance of having vision loss. Either some people have vision loss that is significant enough that they are legally blind, and others, like, well, God will. Baba is he does have vision loss, but he has glasses that can bring it pretty close to 20/20. He has a driver's license and everything. So that's the biggest thing with albinism that could be considered a disability. And the other thing would be skin conditions from repeated exposure to sun.
Very easy to get sunburn.
Yeah. But it's not a true
Disability.
You wouldn't look at it and say albinism is a disability because this person is unable to live life, because it is true that there are considerations, but really people with albinism can live life just like anyone else to the fullest without very much accommodation for that matter. But now we're going off on a different
no, that's
tangent.
okay. I mean, this is why we're doing this, so we can actually have a discussion about this subject matter.
I was gonna say that even if it is counted as like the loss of sight or exposure to sun can cause harm to skin, that can also be common in people who don't have albinism.
Yes.
Many people lose their sight even in their early years, and some people will have problems with their skin because of repeated exposure to sun. It's not something that's just specific to albinism.
Yes.
Because Grandpa Carl on mom's side, he was losing his sight when he was getting old.
But he was also diabetic. So
Yes, he was that as well.
Other factors can add to that.
Would some people paint their kids brown?
Paint?
Yeah.
No.
That just wouldn't be right.
No, I mean, I understand what his question is. You're talking about if you want to protect your child, if you have a child and they're born as albino and you don't want them to be killed, or you want them to grow up without being afraid of sunburn.
Would you ever do that if she gave birth over there?
No, I would not.
So you would just run away?
By she, you mean your mother?
Mm-hmm.
If she had an albino child?
Mm-hmm.
No, I would not run away. My mother did not run away from me. Why would I run away from my own child?
No, like paint them brown.
No, we
Or-
would never do that.
It
or
just
would
wouldn't be
you-
right.
It wouldn't be right.
Or would you leave before she gave?
No.
You won't know what skin color your child is gonna be until they're born. So we didn't know what color your skin color was gonna be until you were born. Then we saw you for the first time and we said, "Oh,"
We're not albino.
and I was not even concerned about that.
It wouldn't be the first thing I worried about either.
Yeah.
If they were albino, it's just like, well, they're my child. I love them anyways.
It would actually be not like very fun, but it might have been interesting to be just like my father.
I would say yes, it'd be cool to be albino like my father. Then I would have something majorly in common with him.
Well, that's interesting to hear you guys say that.
Is Mom albino?
Oh, I just have to remember to put
your
on
mother
sunblock.
is not albino. Your mother
Is Caucasian.
She is just Caucasian.
Well, I have another question. Was it interesting growing up as being albino?
You've asked that question like 3 times.
Well,
No.
I have other essays that I've written that I have written that will go. So this is the first one that we looked at. It's about my family, where it started with albinism. I have other essays that I've written that talk about my early childhood, as my mother has told me those stories. So we can definitely read those essays as well and discuss them. Then I have other essays that I've written about my own experiences. Like you were asking me earlier, what my thoughts were as a child. Well, I have an essay that I've written. I think it's called something about a yellow man. So when we read those, then some of the questions that you guys are asking, then we can talk about those. But for the sake of this episode, I wanted to start with
Just
kind of the beginning,
the
like,
history.
You're like, yeah, how come I am albino? Well, I was not the first one. There were others before me, and there's a whole history of what happened to them. Like your question was, how many did I see growing up? And to your mother's point, my last sentence was, many families would look different today if earlier on albino children were allowed to live. So it's important
When they were born.
It's important. It was important that for me that we started there, and then as we go to the next episodes, we'll pull out the other essays, and we'll discuss the other aspects of being an albino. And like I said, also we can bring in Tete Gwen into one of our episodes. She can call in from Zimbabwe, and we can listen to her as she tells us some things that she's working on.
That'll be fun.
It will be fun.
Yeah.
Did you learn about anybody who was albino and was killed?
Apart from the 8 that I told you about in this story?
Yeah.
No, I don't know anyone personally who was albino and was killed.
Well, do you know any of the 8 people's names?
Like the name?
No, I don't know any of their names. But there are people who are alive now who may know. Like I have some uncles who are older who might know some of that history. So it is also my hope that as we maybe get a chance in the future to go to Zimbabwe, we'll talk to those guys. We may go to the village and we might find somebody who can tell us more about those 8. And maybe, who knows?
If we recorded like part of a conversation, then we could play that back.
Yeah, that would be fun.
And then you actually hear it from the person.
Yes, that would be another way for us to, like I said, this is a life story podcast. It's about our life as a family.
Except with a Y.
Except without a Y.
It's with a Y, no I's and E's.
Yes. So, but this is what it's about. What how did we get here? Who are we? How did we end up here? And what do we know about ourselves? What makes us different from the rest of the, other world, other people alive?
No.
All right, I think we've exhausted this essay. So who wants to wrap it up for us?
Me.
Okay, try it.
This is the ending of the story. I can do. This is the ending of.
Okay, try it.
This is the ending of the next episode of Life Story.
The next
Good
episode.
night.
You don't want to say this. Thanks for
Adios.
listening. This
Thank
is the
you.
end of this episode. Join us again next time when we discuss
Something.
about our
Or the
lives.
next Please give us a thumbs up. If
Well-
we even had that.
We don't have a thumbs up.
We have a heart. And we can have people follow us when people know about us.
Well, no one is following us yet. But
Well,
Yeah, that's
Nyasha, what do you want to say?
Oh, wait, except for me. I'm the only person following you.
Okay, good.
See you next time.
See you next time, Panashe.
see you on the next podcast.
Steph.
It's time for bed.
Who hasn't said anything yet? Pakanaka?
We'll see you next time on the 3rd episode of the Life Story Podcast.
Me.
Available on Spotify.
Please
We have a
subscribe.
The rest can be cut out.
Okay.
Adios, amigos.
Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on the 3rd podcast.
Adios.
This is the
This
worst
is
ending
how
ever.
I did it. Adios, amigos.
Okay. I think this is it. Let's hope I don't delete anything by accident.
Ever.